Good afternoon, mech warriors, mech techs, and nobles in hiding. We're back. It is Thursday, the 13th of August, and we are today on smog-choked Luthian. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. It's a little bit overcast here. I seem to begin every episode in the most British of all fashions by talking about the weather. But yes, it's a bit overcast here. It's still very warm, quite muggy. So I'm gonna probably take my doggy doos for a bit of a walk later. What have I been up to? Well, I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. I won't bore you with the details, but that went well. Then I also, when I got home, I was like, I really want to do something, and I also wanted to put something, stop putting something off, and that really comes down to the new UI for the contract market. It took a great deal of effort yesterday, but I have basically done the new UI. It was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot. I think I started when I got back from my doctor's appointment, which was pretty early in the morning, and I didn't really finish until my wife got home from work, and it was a lot of work. And we're going to be showing that off in a little bit. Before we move on to showing off the new stuff, I did want to take the opportunity to start talking about what comes next, specifically in the contract overhaul project. So with us now being in a position where we have, as of yesterday, we have a UI, we have a system to generate contracts. It's a bit simple. Probably going to expand that, and we have a we have the loading, unloading, saving, and all that stuff. It's basically all that back end stuff is now sorted. The process now turns into migrating existing systems to use the new contract classes rather than the old ATB classes. Now, this is going to be a lengthy process. This is going to take a bit of work, honestly, but it's going to be a good end result, I feel. And one of the good things is it's also going to illustrate to us what other stuff we need to do as part of the contract overhaul project. So, without further ado, how are you all doing? I am going to mute myself very briefly to take my sweater off because it's a lot warmer than I realized. So I'm just gonna mute myself, and I'd love to hear from you guys what you're up to, what you got planned for today, and what you've been doing with your morning. And I'm back. And what have I been doing for my morning? I did a few bug fixes this morning, a little bit of split and polish on the new contract overhaul UI. But then I spent a little bit of time with my housemate. We just watched some JoJo. My housemate's been introducing me to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I'm really enjoying it. Actually, we're up to we're getting close to the end of season 4, which is set in Italy, and then that's been a lot of fun. I think season 4 has been my favorite season so far. But yeah, without further ado, how about I show you off what the new contract market looks like. So we're going to start by having a look at the existing contract market that you're all probably very familiar with, because I kind of felt like this would be a good way to kind of before and now it a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna start, take us over to Safari, and I've got a screen capture. Oh no, Safari's not loading. Give me 2 ticks. Come on, Safari. Let me just remind OBS what screen Safari lives on. There we go. Please excuse the white border, because this is just a screen cap, just to make life a little bit easier on me. So I want to talk today, I want to start by talking about some of the problems I have with the old contract market UI, which is what you're looking at now, because I really feel like that's going to give you guys some insight into what why the changes that I've made were made. And it's going to be 2 ticks. Let's have a look at what's going on. So the first things first is this is really just an old against the bots system, and that's kind of been the main motivator behind the contract overall project in general, is just ripping out these old ancient against the bot systems and replacing them with something a bit more modern, a modern contract experience. And one of the biggest problems I have with this current contract market is it comes down to this side, really. These borders, Mr. Bear's getting comfy. These borders just don't resize cleanly. You don't get all the information you need, and then you have to get rid of this screen, but then you also need this screen to get the information. So it simultaneously gives you too much information and at the same time not enough information. And the intention behind this change, I wasn't the one that made this change, and I probably wouldn't have approved it if I'd kind of realized the impact it would have. But the reason behind this change is the contributor, and this was their only contribution if I remember correctly, wanted to be able to at a glance see all the important details of a contract. But it just created more problems than it really solved. And I feel like it was a classic solution, in that it was solving the symptoms of a problem, not solving the problem itself, because players still need to click and see this whole big old screen, and you can't just work off of this, even down to the money estimate, which you'd think would be the most useful thing. You can't, because you don't know how much of this profit estimate is including transport, and if you've got two-way transport, then you're going to have higher profits than you might otherwise. And yeah, there was just a whole bunch of problems. And then if we come onto the right-hand side, well, actually on the top here, this whole section is signing bonus, the MRB membership fee, the advance. None of this actually makes any difference really whatsoever. Hey, Wallace, Lord of Owls, glad you could join us today. But yeah, so this whole thing up there, other than cutting out, like giving you a little bit of money up front, and taking away, I think this is 5%. This bit here is 5%. It doesn't really do anything. And like if we look at here on the right hand side, like we're talking 250,000 C-bills off the contracts thing for just a tick box that again doesn't do anything. Now, if we are to reintroduce MRB or whatever membership fees, then I would absolutely want that to have an in-game effect rather than just being a box everybody leaves ticked because it's ticked by default, but unticking it just doesn't do anything. So that's my problems with the left-hand side. The problems I had to the right-hand side are even more numerous, in that this is just incredibly ugly and really, really hard to use. So you sure you get all the right information that you want, like your allies, your enemies. You can renegotiate, so the renegotiation system has its own laundry list of problems. It's just basically a block of text with, we've got some skulls at the bottom for visual interest. And if, for example, you want to know, okay, cool, my location, the target system is Mangor, you have to click on Mangor, get rid of this whole dialogue, and then see the details of Mangor. And what that basically ends up resulting in is players just forget they need to check the details of the system, land on a planet that is completely ill-suited for their campaign, and then just spend the entire contract GM removing weather effects. Wallace comments that it's hard to even tell what number corresponds to what category at a glance. Yes, exactly. So let's step out of this, and we're going to go head over to MekHQ so I can show you what the new contract market looks like. So I just need to remind OBS which screen it lives on. To Tickaroonies. There we go. Okay, so let me have some water. And we're on the end of the month, so we're going to advance to new month and see what happens. Typically, no contracts have generated for this month. Should be. So here we see the new contract market where no contracts have generated. This is actually somewhat useful for me to show you. So as you can see, this isn't particularly exciting, but one of the important things that I wanted to include was, in the event that there are no contracts available, I want to have the player immediately informed of what they can do to increase their chances of getting contracts. That's what this blurb basically says. There's no work on offer here right now. Contracts are drawn from the local hiring hall each month, so a busier world means more offers. Travel to a system with a stronger hiring hall, or for government work to one of your own faction's worlds, then advance the calendar and check back after the next monthly report. That's basically what it comes down to. So let's reload this and see if we can actually get some contracts this time. It occurred to me I probably could have GM added a contract there, but it's fine. I want to show you guys what it looks like on a new month. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, let's advance again. I'm gonna get some awards. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, I see. I need to move location. I put this in an uninhabited system to test how contract generation would work in an uninhabited system. So let's take ourselves to a decent hiring hall so we can get lots of examples. Where's Galatea when you need it? Oh, there's got to be a decent hiring hall around here somewhere. There we go. Okay, we'll head over to Galatea. Okay, so now we have 2 mercenary contracts and 2 pirate contracts. Now, at this second, right now, mercenary and pirate contracts are generated in the exact same way. There is no difference between them. However, because my main focus is getting mercenary contracts set up, and then we'll do pirates. So I can see here that I've got new contracts available. We've got 2 mercenary work contracts and 2 acts of piracy. So then we can either click on the contract market as usual, or we can click the hyperlink. So we'll click at the hyperlink, and here we are. This is your new contract market. So immediately at the top, you're seeing the important information: how much you're getting paid, where it is, and how many months it is. This month can get a little bit cut off, as you can see here, but generally speaking, because we're only including a limited information, you can see it pretty quickly. The skulls are now living on the tab that has the contract basic details. You've got the contract date, its name, who's the employer, what contract type it is. We can switch over here. It's going to jump up. We've got who the contact is. So this is Dr. Christina Langs. They're the employer. Sudan Salado over here, the employer. And this will be generated based on the faction of who the employer is. You're going to have a little blurb here, and this blurb will change based on who the faction is that's offering the contract, how much they like you, and what the type of contract it is. Now this is all placeholder text here. I've got a writer currently writing up all the blurbs as we speak, so that should be ready soon, but this is just placeholder at the moment, why the grammar's a little bit wonky. And then we come down and you get the details of the contract. You get command rights, your salvage, support, transport. On the right hand side, you've got the allied commands, what they're rated as, who the opposition faction is, the opposition threat, their morale, and an assessment. So one of the things I've noticed is, while we have the skulls at the top, a lot of the time players don't quite understand what the skulls actually mean. So I wanted to still include the skulls because my wife drew them and I like them. But so rather than having them be front and center, they're going to be at the top now. If you know what they mean, you know what they mean. If you don't, they're there. You can kind of intuit. But down in the assessment, that's where it's going to tell you whether you're evenly matched for 2.5 skulls. We go to a 2 skull. The assessment is that the contract is favorable. And this removes all the ambiguity from trying to determine whether or not the contract is going to be easy or hard based on the skulls. Oh, apparently we've got a big storm coming through. It just lit up the sky. So much for being overcast. It is now raining a lot. Down the bottom here, we've got your total payout, how much you're getting paid per month, how much you're getting paid to get there, and your combat pay. So combat pay is something that's unique to the contract overhaul project, and it's taken directly from Hotspot's Draconis Reach. So whenever you do an essential scenario, so one of the contractual objective scenarios, and if you win, you'll get contract pay. So you can kind of see it as a bonus. Now, under hotspots, you technically get it for every track, every scenario. However, that would just get you so much money when you can have a contract with 20 plus scenarios. It just gets too much. But down at the bottom, this is one of the big things here. You can immediately, at a glance, see exactly how much you're going to spend on this contract, how much you're going to get, and your estimated net profit. And to help with some of the player confusion as well, we're noting that this is an estimate only, that it excludes combat pay, salvage, and any battlefield losses. Oh, I don't know if that crack of lightning, I suppose would technically be thunder, was audible, but if it was, it's storming outside. That's quite a loud bit of thunder there. So one of the other things that I felt was really important, it was audio? Oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah. So one of the things I did think was important is also to include the target planet as well. So one of the big changes with the contract overhaul project is you're not going to get target systems anymore and assume that the target location is always the primary planet in the system. Now you're going to be given target planets. So you could go to the MekHQ system, and then you could be on I don't want to say any planet, but you could be on any reasonable planet within the MekHQ system. Now it looks like in this one we are on the primary planet. Oh wow, that is a really big storm. If I suddenly vanish, you know why. But yeah, so you're gonna have all the target planet details right here in front of you, so you can immediately read up on it. You can check your vitals, like the atmosphere, the gravity, all that good stuff. Something I'm tempted to include is the Stratcon sector, but I'm not entirely sure how I would do that. Wallace Lord of Owls asks, I assume the operating costs include whatever monthly costs you have enabled. I know there were some issues with that in previous contract system. Yeah, it includes all operating costs. So it's going to include... it should also include transport to get there, but I don't think it is right now looking at this. I think that might be broken at the moment. But yeah, it's going to include all your operating costs and your transport costs. So everything is going to be based on to tell you on that. Now, one thing it won't do is be an accurate representation of how much it will cost to get there if you mothball everything. There's only so much I can do on that front without adding a bunch of overhead. But as you can see here, this doesn't function yet, but you will have the ability to edit the contract before you even accept it. No more of accepting a contract so that you can then edit it. As a GM, I want you to have complete control. So everything that you see, the entire contract details, will be GM editable just from the bottom inside the market. You can obviously accept the contract. You can delete it if you don't like it. Pachow. You can delete them all if you don't like them all, so it's pacha. And then you can also generate new if you want. Pachi. Now another thing, again, a tool for GMs is, and this doesn't work yet either, but you're going to have a button here that allows you to create a new contract. So generate contract generates one using the automatic contract generation system. But create new is going to allow you to create a new contract from scratch that will then be added to the contract market. Why am I including that? Well, it's because as a GM, if I was a GM using MekHQ as a way to manage my campaign, I could conceive of a situation where I would generate, or create rather, 3 bespoke contracts and then let my players choose which one they want to go for. And you could technically do that by generating a contract or having the ones that are in the market and then hitting edit and then hand editing it. But I would far rather have the ability for the GM just to hit create new, it'll give them a dialogue, they choose the details of their contract, click confirm, and it's immediately added to the market. There's not going to be any of this really weird and annoying separation between handmade contracts and the ones generated. I want them to both be seamlessly interchangeable. So we picked ourselves a contract, and we're going to go on this favorable contract. It's Federated Suns versus the Draconis Combine. And it looks like we've got a decent planet. Yeah, it's all very good. Gravity's fine, I guess. And then obviously we want to negotiate the contract. So we click negotiate, and this will give you your new negotiation menu. So one of the really, really important things with hotspots, Draconis Reach, and Hinterlands is that you as a player have a deterministic way to negotiate your contracts. And this works in a few different ways, but largely it comes down to your reputation, which some of you may be aware, we're getting rid of the old campaign operations reputation. We're moving to hotspots reputation. And hey, youngster, glad you could join us. And yeah, so you have your reputation points, and those directly equal your ability to influence the contract's terms. So I've got 1 reputation point right here, so I can go in and I can go, okay, I want to get a bit more support. Pachow, I now have 100% support, no rolling. But I'm like, oh man, oh wow, I got 0% salvage, that's gross. I actually don't care about command rights, so I'm gonna lower that down. Now I have to lower it down 2 steps to get 1 increase. So I lower it down for 2 steps. That gives me 1 swap point. So now I can actually go and get a little bit more transport overage. But maybe I'm rich. And maybe I'm rich and I'm actually like, okay, well, I don't really care about transport for whatever reason. So I'm going to go ahead and bump down transport twice. And then I can go ahead and update support even more. That's already 100%. So I guess in that case, I will go and update base pay, get myself some more base pay. Now you might notice in the top left, we have the ability to select a negotiator. So we'll select Dr. Martin here. So he's now the negotiator. At time of writing, there is no interaction between the negotiator and the negotiation system. However, my plan is that there'll be a campaign option that will allow you to turn on advanced negotiations. And this will reduce your reputation by 1. So if I had reputation 1 like I have here, I'd actually only have reputation 0, so I wouldn't get any reputation points. But I could hit a negotiation button. Griffin says, shouldn't the support roll over into battle loss compensation with how the new system works? Yeah, no, this is just mislabeled. It does, but I think I needed to rejig. This is all very work in progress, so expect things not to be working quite like how they should. But yes, you are correct. Support will get transferred over to battle loss, which it has done. I know that for a fact. But what it hasn't done is updating here to tell you, oh, you're now getting battle loss. I can show that by... So we've gone ahead and updated support twice. If I click confirm terms, support is now 100% straight support. So it would flip over to battlefield support if I got it high enough. But that may not be working exactly as it should be. It should be because of how I set it up, but I can double check it. But coming back into this, so one of the things I'm wanting to do is have it so that you can have a negotiator and a random roll to influence the terms in addition to having your deterministic route. I'm just not entirely sure exactly how I'm going to do that. So that's why it's not in this basic system. The only thing I've done is I've hooked up the ability to change your negotiator. So expect there to be some functionality to that. I just haven't decided exactly how it's going to work. Also, hi Griffin 2470, glad you could join us. But yeah, so this is the new fanciness. And of course we have an explanation because I don't want to have to deal with 120 people asking how it works. So it works exactly as it does in Hotspots Draconis Reach, but we got a simple summary here. I'll probably include a note saying for more information, the Draconis Reach. The Gable! Hey Gable, and thank you so much for the follow the other day. How about the possibility of non-negotiable or partially negotiable contracts? I think that's a really good idea. I'll probably take that idea and run with it, but it's right now that's not implemented. My focus right this second is on minimal viable product, because this is such an incredibly complicated system. Because setting up this UI only took me a couple of days, but what we're going to be doing today is doing the necessary legwork that allows us to transfer MekHQ to use the new contract system instead of the old. The youngster says, will the mechanics of command rights be reworked at all? Only reason I say that is because, from my understanding, integrated always gives you allies, but in Draconis Reach is more of a malice. So integrated no longer always gives you allies in... It shouldn't in 51.0. It definitely doesn't in 51.01, or it shouldn't. The way integrated is meant to work is that it will... every scenario counts as a turning point, which can be good and it can be bad depending on your situation. Another thing you can do if we head back to the contracts available is, as a mercenary, so this is a mercenary setup, you can choose to go and do an act of piracy instead. Now, I did mention to you this before, but the acts of piracies generate right now exactly the same as mercenary contracts, just because I haven't hooked it up yet. But it means that a mercenary can at any point decide, oh, actually, I want to do a pirate raid. And maybe you want to do a pirate raid on someone like the clans. Get yourself some of that clan tech in a way that it can't be taken off you by the houses. It's always a possibility. An act of piracy might not be viewed as good, and it's gonna hit your reputation maybe, but you can. And as a pirate, you'll be able to take mercenary work on the side, should you wish. The terms won't be particularly good because you'll have a terrible reputation, but you can. And of course, down here, you see tournament. So tournament is a placeholder for game worlds, which will be coming. I don't know if game worlds are coming in 51.01 or if they're coming in 51.02, but game worlds are coming. They are going to be a very, very simplified system. Essentially, just imagine a contract that has very few scenarios, and all those scenarios are official challenges. That's broadly speaking how it's going to work. You will not get salvage from tournaments. You'll get cash monies, and maybe you'll get some stuff as like the winnings, but you're not going to get salvage. So you can't beat up your opponent and nickel their stuff. That's not going to work. But game worlds have been something that people have been asking for years, and right now there's never been a better chance to implement it. So I'm just going to go ahead and implement it, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, so this is your new contract market. I hope you all like it, and if you don't, let me know so we can get an idea of what needs to be improved. Wallace, Lord of Owls, asks, it'd be good if tournaments had a high chance of using Solaris-type mechs with all the wacky stuff. So that comes down to Degorsman. Sorry, just bonking my desk. Degorsmans are data human, and they have said that they might be interested in doing a Solaris availability table, but that it's a very, very, very low priority. So maybe one day, but certainly not now. I think that whether or not we do that is going to largely come down to how popular tournaments actually end up being. Because famously, every time someone puts out a Solaris 7 style packet, it has the lowest popularity in anything FASA, FanPro, or CGL do. That just nobody ends up buying it. So we will see if tournaments end up popular enough to warrant the 100 plus hours it would take for Degorsman to put together all the data. We will see. It does mean that when we do implement tournaments, if you like them, definitely let us know, because that's going to be the difference between just using a normal availability list or using a special tournament one. But yeah, so I'm personally really happy with this. As I mentioned before, this flavor text is placeholder. I have got a human writer working on it. I mentioned human writer because I want to make sure people are aware that we will not be using AI writing. But yeah, no, I'm really happy with how this came along, and I'm looking forward to you all using it. So with that, I'm actually going to go ahead and check something. So Diversionary Raid, Federated Suns versus Draconis Combine, because I haven't had a chance to test this. Perfect. And then we're just going to check whether it loads correctly, because I realize I put in the on-off stuff, but I haven't actually tested it. So fingers crossed it saves and loads. Well, it said your statement about making clear as a human right got cut off by ads. It would be incredibly okay, cool, it loads fine. It'd be incredibly ironic if the ad was that really cringy Facebook Pro AI propaganda piece. That's just so bad. That's so bad. Like, I don't know if you guys have had the misfortune of seeing that Twitch ad, but Facebook put out a you know, you can trust us to put people first. We're also using AI. Ignore that part. Ad on Twitch, and like, it was so cringe. It genuinely felt like satire of corporate propaganda. It was so bad. But that's the fun stuff out of the way, unfortunately. Now begins the real work. So if I head over to IntelliJ, we're going to move on to our next step. Now, our next step is figuring out all the systems. Griffin said, trust Facebook? No, I don't think I will. Yeah, no, that was my reaction too. But yeah, so our next step is we're going to need to basically go through all of the systems that hook into ATB contracts and make sure they're getting redirected to our new contract system, which is going to be rough. I've forgotten how to spell transition. Transition. Mission transition. There we go. Okay. So it begins. Hey, Weissman. Well, it says time to untangle decades worth of spaghetti. Oh, I know. But I don't wanna. This is going to be awful. Okie dokie. Well, Weissman says arrived to how I just spelled that. Well, I will give you a quick. Because I'm trying to put off the unraveling of spaghetti, and I know a few of you else would probably have arrived while waiting. I'm going to quickly just bring back up the new contract market so you can have a quick look, Weissman, because I know this will be of interest to you. So let me just bring this up. So what you're going to see now is the brand new contract market interface coming in 51.01 and the new negotiation system. Weissman said I knew this code to spaghetti. Yeah, I know, I'm aware. Everybody knows the code spaghetti. But I want to show off the new thing. And then I will deal with the spaghetti. So, Fachao, here is your new contract market. Witchy, here is your new negotiation screen. And let's pick ourselves a negotiator. Fachao, there we go. So yeah, this is probably the prettiest UI I've ever made, and I'm very, very proud of it. And I'm looking forward to you all breaking it and then complaining. Oh, actually, what I'm really looking forward to is the people complaining about the new UI and saying that they want an option to go back to the old UI. That's what I'm looking forward to, because that is going to happen. It always does. That's the answer will be no. You can't go back to the old UI because I've deleted it. But yeah, I can't put off the inevitable forever. So let's head back into IntelliJ and begin the toil of the day. Have a quick sippity sip of water. Okay. So this is actually where we are going to be getting paid. Some older work is going to pay dividends. So you notice how I went to abstract mission transition. And you remember how when we first started on the contract overhaul project, the first thing we did was create abstract mission transition to manage the transition from the old contract systems to the new. And that was done to flatten everything to make it easier for us to do what we're about to do. And with that in mind, so we begin. Now, in some cases, we can get away with just using abstract contract. We just need to make sure we're using the right abstract contract. We are. Is use command circuit for contract. We can now get rid of the ATB stuff here. Not entirely sure why that's breaking. Oh, I am missing a curly. Viceman says, how many thousands of noodles are being removed? I don't know. We're going to find out. It's going to be an adventure. So this will probably then throw up ourselves an error. It does. So it's telling us that we can't do this because it needs an ATB contract. Well, it don't anymore. It now needs abstract contract. And again, we're just gonna make sure because I think there's 2 abstract contracts in the code base. In fact, I'm gonna double check that. There isn't. Okay, that makes life a lot easier. And for anybody curious, this is going to completely break all of the unit tests, which is going to be... It's going to be an adventure. Okay, so contract and get employer code doesn't work because contract get employer faction code is the new one. We don't need to worry about that. That's a different problem for a different day. Oh, I didn't mean to open the profiler. Go away, profiler. Okay. 1 down. Viceman says, are we going to need a new save after this goes in? Not at all. You will be blocked in... Oh, also congratulations on your 7-stream streak. You are going to be blocked from upgrading mid-contract. More specifically, if you load a campaign into 51.01 that has an active contract, it's going to go, hey, this old contract system is now incompatible with the new system. It cannot be converted without being ended. Would you like to end the contract now and count it as a success? And you click yes or whatever. The actual upgrade process, I'm not entirely sure exactly how it's going to work, but I can tell you for a fact you are not going to be able to upgrade mid-contract. And it's not because I hate you guys. It is simply because I simply cannot guarantee that upgrading mid-contract will migrate everything properly. I might be able to pull that off, but I don't think I will. So just out of pure necessity, because you have to understand, we are literally rewriting everything to do with contracts from the ground up, and the old system, I don't know whether I can pull it off. Now, I might be able to, specifically because of abstract mission transition. Abstract mission transition may allow me to do it. What I can promise you, though, is that your old contracts will be transferred over to the new system, so you're not going to lose your contract history. It's just that I'm, at this current moment in time, I don't know that I can do that without the contract breaking if it's currently active. We'll see. But yeah, you will be able to upgrade your existing saves. It's just whether or not you can upgrade mid-contract is going to be the question. If you can't upgrade mid-contract, you will be told about it when you try. It's not going to be a case of I just tell you and you have to remember. It will straight out tell you if you do. Okay. Interesting, we don't have contracts. Okay, I need to come back and investigate this because this isn't going to work, but I need to get an idea of what I need to do to change that. Okay, so let's go to at here. Oh, well, this wants me to not have my shrimp. I wasn't too shrimpy. I'm just having to think aloud as to how exactly I'm going about this. So get missions. A collection of missions in the campaign. Do I want missions stored at the campaign level, or do I want missions stored at the player force level? I guess I do only want them stored at the campaign level. Which means I need to go in and update these to use the new system. How do I want to do that? Because I don't actually want them living raw and dirty in campaign. But I am absolutely going to need a way to get completed missions. So I suppose for now we could just switch out. No. That's going to be a problem. So the reason why this will be a problem is I haven't done a review of exactly how campaign interacts with missions. So what we're going to do is, because the get missions are probably still going to need to exist for a bit. So what we're going to do is we'll make ourselves a data object. We really like data objects in this project. At least I do. I use data objects all the time. I'm going to call this contract history data. How do I want to store this? I guess we can store it as a linked hash map. Oh, that should be a record. There we go. So we're going to want a public. Oh, hydrate. Happily will, Mr. Youngster. So add a contract to the history, and that is going to be there we go. Oh no, I do need to do this. There we go. Okay, so this is going to allow us to add a contract to history. We should also remove a contract. Nice and simple. And we'll just add a utility. Oh, it is empty. That seems like a good one. What about public? Yeah, these are nice little helpers. We will add a public void clear contract history. Probably don't need the clear, actually. These are probably sufficient. We can probably get away with these as well. Okay, so that's going to give us our little utility methods. We're then going to add in another one. We're going to say public abstract contract. Oh no, I suppose we do need to get a getter. That makes sense, really, if you think about it. Public list abstract contract. And it's not values we want, it's get completed. It's not is pending. Oh, it's active. Is active. Is active. Now these should be unique if completed contracts contains okay, so this is just going to make sure that the returned list is going to be unique values only. So this will get our, this is going to be our new get completed. So, heading back to Chaos Reputation, and now we can go campaign. No, I need to add the tree map. Interesting. Not entirely sure we have a tree map, but hey ho. Oh no, I'm being dumb. Don't mind me. I'm going to go ahead and add a... Come back here. Public contract history data. And that just creates it. Okay, so this initializer just creates an empty an empty array. PS359, glad you could join us, says, what are you working on today? And by we, I mean you. We are working on the great migration of stuffs, systems, mechanics, and all that good stuff from ATB to the new contract system in preparation for the new contract market and the new contract stuff in general. I can't show you the new contract market live, but I can nip ourselves over to Safari, and if you bear with me a second, I can show you what the new contract market will look like. because the new contract market UI is actually finished. I pushed that yesterday. So if I go over to Safari, and again, for anybody who hasn't seen this yet, ooh, wrong one. This is what the old contract market looked like. You know, you're all very familiar with it, I'm sure. This is what the new contract market's going to look like. And this is what the new negotiation screen is going to look like. And I say this is all completely finished. The UI is done. I just need to finish the back end stuff that I'm doing today. So I'm very excited. Okay, so you're coming out as a new array list mission. That is incorrect. Because I now need... Okay, so now what we can do, we can go into complete missions and we can get rid of all this crap. And we can just say contract history. And then get completed. Oh, that should be abstract contract. There we go. Oh, who's messaging me? Oh, my medication's ready. Do like having my medication. Okay, so that's that done. And the bulk of what you're going to see today is mostly going to consist of me going through calls to try and make sure that we're now using the right system. Get objective type, get chaos. No, we're going to do this a different way. We are going to go in and add ourselves a utility method. Turn player objective, get player objective. Do I have a shortcut for objective type? Doesn't look like it. I don't. Okay, it's fine. Get objective type. Chaos is attacker. Contract get system. Get target system is a new version. However, that can actually return null. So target system equals contract get target system. And we need to confirm that Strand and MekT, whatever, doesn't equal null. The target system, so if Strand and MekT equals null, or target system equals null, or target system equals too close, then we kick in. Got an error up here, get enemy faction. Come on, you piece of shit. Grumbly, grumbly, grumbly. So that's all good. Okay, so we're no longer fetching travel days there. We're going to go for contract utilities, get travel days, and what do we need here? We need campaign. We need a bunch of crap, actually, so let's go ahead and... Okay, so first up we need campaign. Then we need contract. Okay. Well, here's something we don't need. If we're pulling in campaign, we don't need the GM because we can fetch that here. Boolean is GM equals campaign because GM status is stored at the campaign level. So we will need to go and fix that, but that's very, very easy. So, heading back here. Seems that a lot of this is being replicated down here. So what I can do is move this up here, and then we get travel days. Cancel that, point that down here. So overriding, this is all good. Yeah, that's great. Okay, perfect. So we've got some other errors here. Ah, this is where I actually need to get that data. Do we have multiple get violates homeworlds exceptions? We do. Why? Because one uses abstract, one doesn't. In that case, we can actually get rid of this now, because I suspect this is the only one we need. Unless we're planning to call this without why are okay, this is abstract ATB monthly contract market, so we can actually just, because this is going away so hard, I don't even care. And same for contracts market, this is also going away. This is no longer relevant. Both of those classes are going to be deleted. In fact, what I will do is mark them for deletion. In fact, CamOps contract market never got completed. The author basically got halfway through it and then just walked away from the project. Wallace Lord of Owl says, Illiani, random question, but do you know if there's an issue in 51.0 milestone where the BV for some units is completely different when in the hangar compared to the unit purchase screen and MegaMek lab? I do. Let me quickly go get some water and I'll come back and explain. And I am back. Sorry about that. So I see you guys have already worked out what the reason is, and that is exactly the reason I was going to point out. The reason, the problem it creates is that we need to create a specific what's the word, BV calculation system that only uses the current tow state, because a while ago, like 2024, 2025. Probably 2024, we were getting complaints that the BV in the tow was not accurate, and the reason it wasn't accurate is because it wasn't taking into things like C3 and all that good stuff. So we changed it so it did, but now it considers everything to be part of the same formation. It's a situation. It's a bit of a weird situation, I should say. Okay, so that's that dealt with. Get rid of you. Okay, calculate contract difficulty. This is another deprecated class. I have recreated this where it needs to be recreated, so I'm not too worried about that. Contract summary pane. Unknown difficulty. That's been dealt with. In fact, contract summary pane is another one that's going the way of the dodo. Okay, and then we've got a whole bunch of tests. Not really worried about those. For example, this test in particular, it's going away. The IO test going away. This is another IO test. I think we've already deprecated this. We have. Oh, this is all the same ones. That can all go away. Clan homeworlds exclusion test. That actually is going to. I'm going to want to keep that, but we'll deal with that later. Mission flattening. That can go away. I will grab some water in a moment. Pathstrider. And the inheritance flattening, again, that's going to go away. Ooh, there we go. Excellent. Okay, so allegedly, that should be all the instances of abstract mission transition that we really care about. Because get scenarios that's all been replicated. So let's close this. We are going to go first migration pass. So now begins the second migration path. Falling over my own tongue today. Also, actually made that go big, go back down small. There we go. Okay, we need mission transition. Okay, jumping back here, and we're just going to make sure that is actually for removal true now. Just going to make sure there isn't any more calls that we missed. I guarantee you there are. Wallace Lord of Owl says, "Is this your full-time job?" I am a house spouse. I manage the homestead, and between cooking and cleaning and looking after the animals, I work on MegaMek. So, yes, effectively. Okay, contract difficulty is, we don't need to care about that. We know that already. Contract summary panel, if I didn't deprecate this before, I'm going to now. Mission. This is now going away for realsies. But generally, that should be good. We'll merge those into the first migration pass. But no, the reason why I'm able to put out so much content compared to other developers does just come down to the fact that I am in the incredibly privileged position of being able to treat the MegaMek project like my full-time job. Okay, so we've got all of that good stuff in this. I can. Nice. So now we start moving up the chain. So anybody who was with us when we first started on the contract overhaul project, I think like 2 months ago, this has been a long project. When we started that, one of the things that we did was highlight the problem with the chain of inheritance. So because this wasn't on the test, I'm going to quickly revise you all on what the chain of inheritance was. So the chain of inheritance dictated that we have abstract mission, which was the core framework, and that got inherited by mission, which added a little bit more complexity to it, which then got inherited by contract, which had a little bit more complexity, and then that was inherited by ATB contract. So the problem that arises is we end up in this really frustrating situation where you're needing to, it basically just makes it incredibly complicated to work with because you've got such a deep chain of inheritance. So one of the things we did early on in the contract overhaul project is we gained a few gray hairs by squashing that down into transition mission. But we do still need to start walking up the chain of inheritance to find all the cases where it's being called. See how mission now extends abstract mission transition. instead of, well, that's actually how it worked previously. But here we see we have 101 plus usages of mission. So now we need to go through them all at one by one, and that is what we got to do. So abstract mission contract is happily going away. Go away. So we don't need to care about anything in there. Actually, I suppose we probably do. No, we don't need to care about anything in there. Abstract mission transition, we've already identified we don't need to care about that. Add or kill entry. Okay, this is interesting. We do need to do something here. So it's going to be abstract contract. So here's an issue because the ID list is integers. We're now using unique IDs because it is significantly better. The default value should be the first. Oh god, this is going to be a mess. What are we even doing here? Create ID list. For what? So we can create the, oh, I see. Okay, we can do this better. We are going to actually create. So this combo needs the ID. Does it ever convert the ID into? Okay, so this is getting mission. So really, we can shortcut this by just returning get contracts. Get contract history. No longer need this Boolean. What we're going to do is contract history, campaign, contract history. Now this is going to fail because we don't actually have a get contract history getter in campaign yet, but that's okay. Because we're going to make one. I don't think anything's going to be calling the history data, or would it? It might do. Okay, so we return get contract history as a map. And we're gonna return ourselves a list of we're just going to go ahead and return this, I think. I think that's what we do, actually. Yeah, I think rather than having a dedicated method for this, I feel like we just do this. The last time I was in here was such a long time ago. Okay, so we need, this should be contract ID. We just contract IDs. And this should actually be a UID now. So how the devil are both these being used? We actually want to go with public extract contract get contract. And because we're using get for a map, this can return null. So we need to add the null annotation. Now later we'll probably add in UID matched scenarios as well, but for now we're just using what we have. We default mission ID and scenario ID to 0 when adding new kills. That's not going to work. Can I just do new? No. There we are. What I'm trying to see is where we're adding the contract, because we're clearly adding in a UID, but I'm not seeing this kill get ID. What if I just pass in null? For now. See, the thing is, it doesn't even recognize that the UID is necessary. So what's going on? This mission ID. We're grabbing it there, but we're not. I'm not seeing the canonical constructor that includes mission ID. Where, oh, where are you, you annoying pain in my ass? So kill includes the UID for the mission. But this isn't that. Are we initializing a new kill? We are initializing a new kill. Oh my lord, that's what it is. gonna leave some notes down here. Okay, cool. So we're switching to UID instead of ID for missions, just because it significantly improves the likelihood that we're not going to have a space clash. We're not going to have two things that have the identical. Now, I knew that moving to UID was probably going to be the biggest cause of consternation in the code base, but we have to kind of work with what we're working with. So I'm going to start to have a whole bunch of to-dos down here, and I'm just going to work through them as we need. Actually, what I'm going to do is I am going to make a note of them. Where can I make a note of them in a way that's not going to be... I know, I can actually use the notepad. There we go. Okay, cool. So that should now be good. We come back over here. We now need to do a random UID. Where the devil are we using this? Just when we're adding new kills. Okay. I wonder. Nah, I can deal with this later. What is UID? Okay, glad you can ask, because this is actually a really cool thing. So a UID is a hash, which is a collection of letters and numbers that is so long that the likelihood of having two UIDs, unique, I think it's a unique uniform identifying digit. I think that's what it stands for. Let's see if it tells. Oh, universally unique identifier. And it's a 128-bit value that essentially is in realistic values, it's never going to duplicate. So it's a way of saying, hey, this object and that object are unique and aren't the same thing. Whereas if we're using integer like we were before, it would be very, very easy for there to be two contracts of ID of 1, for example. So that looks like that's mostly it. Okay, still getting some incompatibilities. Okay, so we are actually going to need to get the IDs, because otherwise this is going to complain the whole time, and we want to try and make as few changes as we can if possible. Okay, we're going back down here for abstract contract in campaign get contracts as map values. mission, get contract ID. Mission needs the UD. We come down to scenario. Why are we sharing an ID list for scenarios and contracts? Oh, is mission, that's why. That's nonsense. This is horseshit. I can say it's horseshit because I was the one that did it. When did I do it? I did it back in 2024. This is me failing to be. I was basically failing to create a reusable method. So we're going to create contract ID, and we're only going to worry about contract IDs here. Secret Demand said, since you're planning to making contracts shorter, the player will be generating more of them. Yeah. Though I'm not really worried about the clashing identifiers, just because we've been pretty good on that front. But it's a vulnerability, and we're taking the opportunity to redo it. We might as well do it properly now. Okay, so now we don't need this. What's next on the agenda? Seeing as we are just doing this, ID list, add all, a chow. And this fundamentally does the same as what was being done earlier, but more efficiently. We don't need that anymore. Okay, we are actually going to roll back this method, class rather, and we are going to redo it because I think we've got ourselves mucked around. And one of the most important things you can learn as a developer is when it's time to take a step back and to redo your work, because being able to recognize that early saves a bunch of time. So this says it's combo mission ID, but it includes a list of missions. It's what kind of confused me. Extract. Contract. Oh, no, 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 not abstract. That's contract, thank you. So we are going to rename this. We're going to call it combo contract. Okay, so create ID list. We know we need 2 of these. Create mission, well, object, contract. And then we'll create our duplicate, which is create scenario. Okay, so it's going to give us our UIDs. That's all good. What are you returning? Not a UID. Return. Campaign. Contract history of the map. Key set, which is IDs. Oh. So, as you might have seen earlier, we created our get contract history of the map. Gives us a map that is keyed to specifically the UID and then the object that it ties to. We do it like that so that you can get a contract just by passing in the UID. It makes it very, very easy and quick to fetch. I wonder. I wonder. I wonder if we're doing this the right way. If I make these nullable, how much of a cascading effect will that have? Because if I can set these as nullable, that will certainly make life a little bit easier. The hell's going on here? Well, if I change this to objects equals that'll work. I mean, it won't work because it's incompatible types, but it'll work sufficiently that I don't need to worry for now. We'll come back to that. That can be it. That's good. That's fine. And again, we just need an objects equals. Objects equals. So we're using object equals here because that allows you to compare null objects. Again, it's going to tell us it's incompatible because it is. But that is fine and dandino. So now we come up here, and rather than putting in a made-up UID, we're going to go ahead and initialize it as null. And that changes exactly how we go about this. So again, one more rollback, reassess. Okay, now kill does indeed issue a thing. That should now be a UID. Yeah. Okay, and so the spaghetti continues to be unraveled. Okay, so that is now giving us the exact same functionality that was being used previously. That should be a UID. That should be null. If it's not null, then we need to get the mission. That needs to be get contract. Voila. Okay. So now we go down here, and if mission ID is valid, default to the option matching mission. So if mission get mission ID doesn't equal null, that needs to be get contracts now. Contract equals campaign get contract. And that just means we can do this instead of this. Cool. Okay, I just wanted to check that. So this is telling me that if the key equals null, returns a value. No, normally this should be okay. Yep. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it could contain null, which it does appear to be able to. And scenarios, chow. There we go. Okay. Looks like I've got 2 more errors. If an invalid mission or scenario to default to 0, we're going to default to null. Get posts. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about that. Okay, big question. Can we boot MekHQ? I suspect not. But if we can, that gives us a good break point. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Oh lord, that's a lot of breaking. Okay, well, that's fine. We can. That's not a problem. I did notice that we're still using mission somewhere. But where? Uh-huh. Oh, this is abstract contract, Mark. I don't give a shit about you. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so abstract contract, we don't give a shit. Abstract mission transition, don't give a shit. Abstract contract. We definitely don't care about stuff in abstract contract. ATV scenario we do care about. That'll be so this asks for a mission, but actually the only thing we're checking for is checking whether it's null and checking what the ID is. So we can actually do actually pass in planet. Oh, we don't need 2 null guards. That's just being greedy. I'm gathering you guys can hear me slouching in my talk today. It happens a lot when I am sort of really focused in. We definitely don't need to pass the whole campaign object in just to get the dates. That's nonsense. Especially as it's only being called in one place where it's being called. Okay, so actually this tells me why is ATB contract handling check events? Oh, okay. Actually, this is going away. We don't need to care about that. Turns out. Oh no, okay, we are using it in some way that's worthwhile, I think. Yes, okay. So I do need to do the weather. And that means we now need to go through and transfer all of this to be UID. I am second guessing making this a UID at this point because this is so much work. But it is worth it. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I will say it is going to be cleaner and is probably worth the extra labor being put in. So I'm going to go with yes. So in that case, we will continue and do it. Even though this does look like it's going to be a pain in the ass. Weissman says long run, yes, probably. Yeah, that's kind of my take. We'll fetch that later. Accidentally got rid of my progress. Whoopsie doodles. Oh no, it's right there. I'm just being blind. Post-mission controller for order awards. Okay, so that should be a clean transfer. Order awards, for anybody unaware, was actually my my first ever major programming project. I would really, really, really like one day to go back through order awards and... Give me a second, can I... Fucking thing, stay there. Cool, that's helpful. Go back through order awards and just redo it. Because I could do so many good things with auto awards using the knowledge I have now. Seeker 10,000 said it's building up infrastructure. A road may not be the sexiest thing in the world, but if it doesn't exist, then people are going to have a hard time reaching you. Yeah. That's one way of looking at it. Certainly. My biggest thing here is what I don't want to happen is for me to put in all this labor and then in 6 years' time someone has to come through, probably me, and do it all over again because the design principle has changed. I would much rather this be the last necessary major overhaul of this type, and that the systems I put in place now will make it significantly easier to do changes of this magnitude. If that makes sense. I know I'm waffling a bit more than usual today. It's basically comes down to me needing to concentrate to a certain degree. if you ever make a menu that's accessible fucking thing via hover like this, make sure it has a decay decay timer so that you don't put your user through what I just went through. Please. You owe it to your users. No, I know, just clear it out. That's not a problem. Can I just do this down here? Yes, I can. No, I can't. Whatever. We'll get there later. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, feel free to ask in chat. I know this probably isn't the most exciting stream, but this is just, unfortunately, one of those things that just has to be done. Alrighty then, the big bahuma, we're updating the briefing tab. So let's go ahead and make ourselves a breakpoint. The point of these breakpoints is so that if we have to roll back, we have kind of like a video game checkpoint. I suppose checkpoint's probably more appropriate to call it. Because what you really don't want to do is get yourself into a situation where, oh, we're analyzing, we'll just wait for that to finish. You don't want to get yourself into a situation where you've done a whole bunch of work and realize you've really fucked up, and then you have to go back and just redo chunks of work. While I'm taking a brief break to let the code analyze, if you're having a good time and if you're not already, please consider hitting the follow button so you can be notified of when we go live. We go live Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are our live development streams, like you're seeing now, where Friday is the ongoing adventures of the Scotorious Bastards. Now, if not next week, then the week after, I will be taking a short break, not from streaming, but from development, and we're going to do a short solo MechWarrior Destiny campaign using the Mythic Games Master engine for the oracles. If you are having a particularly good time and would like to support the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button or donating some bits. You can get a few power-ups or emotes from the subscribe button. If you want to donate to me directly, you can do so through !tip. All proceeds are going directly towards getting me a new computer so I have an easier time of developing and making fantastic content for you all. And with that spiel out of the way, I believe analyzing code is just about done. Seems to have gotten stuck. There we go. Okay, right, back to what we were working on. Is StratCon scenario. Campaign, get contract. And then we are going to simply ask, does StratCon state not equal null? Simple. Edit mission. Edit mission. This has to be marked as a to-do. And I'm going to add that to my little notes. Briefing tab. Okay, so we can't really do anything with this just yet, but that's okay. If you're using StratCon and mission is an instance of ATB contract, then check for contract extended. Okay, so we're just going to check here. Is it using StratCon? This is something that we can't really update yet. Because I really like the contract extended system. Because I think it creates some really interesting dynamic moments, but this is not something that we're going to be able to include just yet. To do contract extension event. Just taking a note off screen. Actually, here's a question. Can we just do that now? Rather than worrying about a to-do, what does this even look like? So first off, we're just going to snatch this out of here. I'm going to head over to our contract utilities. Make it static. First, we need a contract type. But if it's pirate hunting or riot duty, return false. We'll get rid of that. Will let anything expand? Oh, I see. That's because it is. No, we can get rid of that. That is okie dokie. want is contract length. Okay, so check the stock war name. If it doesn't exist, that's all good. We need to have campaign for the report, but we don't actually want to do a report. We want to do something cooler. Okay, so we actually do need to pass in mission because we need to update stuff. So in that case, abstract contract faction Let's have a look at our employer data. Okay, so we actually need to get the anchor, not the employer. So we need the anchor because the anchor is a special type of faction. So when you accept a contract, you can the anchor faction is going to be what we use to determine political relationships, i.e., who's warring with who and stuff like that. Whereas your employer faction could be, for example, just a corporation. Sponsor is null. Then we need contract get enemy faction. Otherwise, we want the sponsor faction. We use anchor faction so to allow for the breadth of faction political interactions. Current war, we should have local date. Actually, I'm going to need to pass in campaign here. Annoyingly. So I can actually get local date from there. Local date equals campaign get local date. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Okay, so that gives us our war. All that for that. It's just nonsense. Then we want to get contract length. Easy enough. Otherwise, we do new end date. And finally, we do the length in months, which will always be months start date should be it. Maybe it's on the local date months. There's a method we can do. Ah, here we go. Chrono unit time. Let's forget that. Darn it. Okay, this complicates matters. Because effectively I'd need to duplicate this. Frustrating, but not a huge deal breaker. It's just not particularly pleasant code. Trying to think if there's a way we could do this elseways, but I don't think there is, unfortunately. Okay. So we come back over here and we need to get ourselves a new no, we can actually do this within abstract contract. Public void update schedule data. And for this, we just need the new start date and end date. And that then allows us to go set schedule data as new contract. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So we head back over to our briefing tab and we go back to where we were intending to extend the contract over in utilities, I beg your pardon. Go local date, new end date, contract, end date, plus months equal to the extension. And then contract update schedule. We have a null start date because that's not changing, but we do have a new end date. We spike morale to create a jump in contract difficulty, essentially the reason why the employer is using the emergency clause. Okay, we can work with that. So contract. Okay, interesting. Do we not have any utility methods in here? We changed the morale. We don't have... PS359 says the employer emergency clause, I guess, forces the player to keep fighting after their contract period has ended. Exactly. It basically extends the contract for a number of months. And it automatically rallies the enemy as well. Honestly, this one we probably don't need ourselves a utility method, because we can just come in and do new morale data. But I would like to have a update method. So briefing tab, no, you contract utilities. Public void update morale data. Trigger route. That's something we're going to worry too much about later. For now, we're just going to go update morale data, and we're going to have morale level. No, just new morale level. And we're going to make these nullable as well. Hey, Hammer. We're unspaghettiing the code base. Okay, so we come over here, we're going to do update morale. So we need to get the ordinal of the current morale. So contract, get morale. There we go. And then that's going to trigger basically the same as before. Then we come down here and go contract, update morale, and new route date with that. And then we got money, 0. In fact, we will create ourselves an overload. We can actually go ahead and update ourselves multiple overloads. And that will just give us options when we come to using this. But coming back over to our contract utility, we actually only need to update that. Then that'll be fine. That'll set it. All very good. We're not going to add a campaign report. Mission changed event. That now needs to be changed to accept abstract contract. Oh lordy. I'm sure that's going to cause a whole bunch of problems. The super doesn't expect. Okay, that needs to be updated. Abstract. Is contract is no longer relevant, because it is in fact always going to be a contract. Okay, so now we come back down to the utilities. Do we have ourselves a resource bundle in here already? We don't. With that in mind, let's go ahead and just create ourselves we're going to rename this to contract general utilities. Create ourselves a new package, and we're going to call that package utilities. And then plonk contract general in there. We're also going to create ourselves a new package. We're going to call it IO. And that only really needs the one thing in there. Then in utilities, we're going to create ourselves a new Java contract. We're going to call this emergency contract. No, contract emergency. Yeah, contract emergency extension. Okay, so the contract gets extended. And then now we're going to need to do ourselves a private static string resource bundle equals MekHQ resources and then contract emergency extension. PS359 says, I seem to remember some official source or other where the employer could extend up to 3 months. First month was 100% pay. Second, I don't know. Yeah, that could well be an old system from the way back when. That's what I'm looking for. Actually, due to the ongoing crisis, we have chosen to invoke emergency clause 36B. The operation has been expanded by months. Full reimbursement shall continue. Oh, reinvestment. Yeah. Apparently I've also spelt contract wrong here. Emergency clause. Continue. Okay, so that gives us that. We're also going to want to get ourselves the copyrighto. New immersive dialogue. Probably a notification, I think. No, it would need to be simple. So immersive dialogue. The first one is going to be contract, get employer liaison, null, get format. Well, I should do this like this. String in character, get formatted text at resource bundle. The resource key is going to be contract emergency clause, blah, blah, blah. And we've got two placeholders. The first one is campaign, get player force, get commander address. Nice, we get HQ. Human resources, get commander address, please. Really? Get commander. Whatever. Oh, because yeah, okay, that's fine then. And then the second one is how many months been extended. We also need to do a choice, which I always go back to my... I never remember how to do choices, so we go back to my old code and then I just duplicate it. Did some plural work recently? How did I do that? So one choice. If 1 is less than 0, it will be months. 1 is less than 1, it will be month. Otherwise, it will be months. And then we're going to want to do the out of character, string out of character. And here we just need the new end date. So that is just going to be contract, get end date. Okay, so in character, out of character. Trigger dialogue. That's fine. Okay, so what's going to happen now is when the emergency contract extension's triggered, you're going to get an emergency dialogue, you're going to get an immersive dialogue pop up saying, "Hey, this thing's happening and why? How long has it been extended by?" And all that good stuff. And that should make it a little bit better than the current setup, because the problem I have with the current setup is 9 times out of 10, when I get an emergency extension, I think the game's just bugged because it doesn't tell you outside of the daily report that the emergency extension has taken place. And it causes me so much confusion. So this should make it a tad more obvious. And now what we have to do is go in and trigger it. Okay, so that is going to be our next note. Okay, so that is all dandy and good. But I'm seeing plenty of errors here. Let's see if I can kind of filter them down a little bit without the bloody dialogue. Come on, fucking thing. I seem to be swearing a lot this stream. I do apologize if anybody's got small children. Okay, so we've got 42 problems here. This is going to take us a little while. No, we'll have that. We'll leave that as is. Okay, so now we need to update the prison event. Now we're guaranteeing a start date, so we don't have to worry too much about it being null like we used to. And that looks like that is sorted. Okay, neat. So what's next on the agenda? Campaign complete mission. Ooh, that's a thing. There's a lot of things that happen in campaign complete mission. Let's come back to that, see if we can't clean up some of the stuff down here first. Because we absolutely will need to do complete mission, and one of the good things about that is we can take it out of campaign, which would be really, really good. This can't return null, so this can actually come in like that. Oh lordy, the old retirement defection dialogue. That's another system I'd really like to overhaul. I really don't like the retirement defection system. Honestly, we can probably rename this to just get ID. I will say we're making better progress than I was expecting. All right. Back to here we go. Shares percents aren't something we need to care about anymore because that's gone. I might reintroduce shares percents at a later date, but yeah, I think shares are going away. So I might, as I say, I might bring back shares later. Actually, we can rename this just to get status. But I just don't think it really adds anything to the game right now. And if we bring it back, I'd rather we brought it back in a more in a way that just adds more flavor. Ah, there we are. Oh, hi, are you? Oh, I'll be just back in just 2 seconds. I'm not going to bother going to be right back. So I'm just walking across the room. Aya's requesting to leave the room. Hi, honey. There you go. Judging from her angle of escape, she is heading to the toilet. Something I'm sure you all really needed to know. Alrighty then, so that is that taken care of. And back to this. Oh, follow-ups. The follow-ups are absolutely fucking going away. Check for follow-up. I say they're going away. They are coming back. I just need to figure out the best way of doing them, and I definitely don't want to use the old ATB system. Follow-ups were a system where the give me a second. Let's rename that. Where as you completed a contract, additional contracts could be spawned into the market. based on the contract you just completed. The problem is that the game never communicated that to you. And so it was super... Actually, why don't we do the same thing we're doing here? Give me 2 ticks. Okay, so check for follow-up. 3 implementations, only one of which we actually give a shit about. Let's see if we can salvage something from here. Okay, so under this we are going. Well, we need to campaign. We're going to have an abstract contract. And we need to know what type of contract we're getting. So get objective type. So the contract ends if it is a diversionary raid, recon raid, or riot duty. It can then get a follow-up. What does that follow-up look like? So this would require us to generate a contract with specific values. I wonder if what we can do here. I wonder. Let's see. Okay, get rid of this because this is going to be totally irrelevant now. Okay, so what values do I need in the chaos contract? Well, I suppose we can do this by having a look at how we generate a new contract. And fundamentally, we're copying this. With extra steps. So We create our follow-up. I suppose we find out what our No, I can do this better. We aren't going to do this now. I'm going to get rid of the follow-up, but I will make a note to add follow-up contracts because I think it's a cool notion, but I don't think it's something that we can really justify at this stage. I need to focus down on stuff that actually definitely needs to be done. So we'll finish that. And I'll add a note. Okay. Griffin says minimum viable product and all. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going with here. This is already going to be an incredibly large PR. There's no point in making it even larger. Okay, that's that. Okay, what does get current scenarios do? Oh, okay. Yeah, we got completed scenarios. Okie dokie. So that gives us our little methods that we need to be able to resolve this. All very good. And that should be mostly good. We're whittling our way through the mountain at least. Yeah, the more we work for our way through this, the more it's becoming increasingly obvious that this is basically what I'm going to be doing next week as well, just because this is one thing that I cannot leave until it is done, sadly. I will definitely take my break once it is viable for me to do so, but I have to get this done. Which is a shame, because I would like to have a break. But at the same time, there isn't anybody else on the team who can do this. Just from, not because I'm like special or anything else like that, but just because nobody else has time. The reason why I'm the one doing this is never because I'm the best person necessarily to do it. It just comes down to who has the time to really do the work, and unfortunately it's going to come down to me. It's going to be an absolute nightmare reviewing this, though. I think the review strategy for this one is just going to be, does it obviously break? If not, who knows? We'll go with it. Because some of this code that I'm touching hasn't been meaningfully edited in a decade or more. That's why. Oh, interesting. Okay, so here's one that we don't have a Okay, so salvages is salvage percent over 0. Okay. We can work something like that. Public boolean and salvage. Okay, so scenario mission ID equals -1 is no longer a valid mission ID. So it actually needs to be null now. We are down to 19 problems on this one singular class. Target planet equals null, then equal null. No, equal new array list. Otherwise equal blah. That's fine. This will no longer equal null. So I don't think that can equal null anyway. It can't. All grand and dandy. Next problem. Get sorted missions. We're actually going to be migrating this within sorted missions, but for now, I'm going to leave it here. So let's go to not sorted missions, contract history. Just because I don't want to have, I'm trying to move as much logic out of campaign where possible. And then what we can do is, rather than having all of this logic, we can just have a single point of reference here. Voila. That will give us exactly what we need. Secret Van says, aren't scenarios not supposed to generate on deployed forces? No, they absolutely are. 100% intended. Any force deployed to the Stratcon sector is fair game. In fact, in 51.01, we've actually introduced a ambush system, so you'll get... Actually, it might be in Milestone. I don't know. We've actually introduced a special ambush system, so that you'll only get ambush-style scenarios when that happens. The most common victims of that are your convoys, your salvage teams getting ambushed on the way home. Recons, so patrols will under normal circumstances, unless your patrol seriously fucks up, and I mean seriously fucks up, you will never have the Op 4 spawn in the same hex as the patrol, unless the patrol seriously fucks up, or you are deploying blind, which is to say deploying your patrol to a hex that has not already been explored. PS359 says my patrol is definitely seriously fucked up. Yeah. Mission is active on. Oh, that's an interesting one. We can certainly add that. Look, Boolean is active on. Ticket Demand says, but they have no protection for scenarios generating on top of them. Correct, yep. Okay, so we are now done here, barring the edit mission. In fact, I can just go ahead and remove this entirely and leave it as a what do we need to do for complete mission here? Oh, that is a whole bunch of logic. Ugh. Okay, we'll leave that for now. Okay, we have 20 minutes left on the episode. I am going to go and refill my water. I'll be back in just a jiffy. And I am back. Hey everybody, so as I say, we've got about 35 minutes left on stream. Oh. And we have 107 instances of mission being used in the code base that need to be cleared out before we can be done. Now it says 140 here, but that's because we don't care about tests and we don't care about the non-code uses. We also don't care about abstract contract market, mission transition, or ATB contract. So, it brings us down to 107 instances. I don't think we're going to finish a mission today, but I would really, and I mean really, I would really, really like it if we could, but we'll see. Let's just rock on and see what we can do. because the work doesn't end. And I mean, we've already done amazing interesting. What? How does? Oh, that's an internal one. We've already done amazing progress, so I'm not sad with the amount of progress that we have done, but I certainly would like to be done. I would very much like to be done with this. This is one of the most tedious parts of any. Give me a second. Come on, brain. Of any migration effort is just going through and updating all of the tedious little nooks and crannies as we go. Contract objective type, can't contract. Objective, there we go. There we go. Okay, so that snatches that out of ATB. We now have ourselves a nice little contract repair location utility. Sure, it's very nice. Okay, but we do need to add salvage by unit. So how salvage works in Chaos Campaign is completely different and in a really, really good way to CamOps. Under CamOps, if you say have 5 units in the pool and you salvage away 3, of those 3 units, say you have 20% salvage, if those 3 were all identically valued units and you hadn't salvaged anything prior in that contract, you wouldn't be able to take any of those units home. Under Chaos Campaign, how it works instead is if you have 3 units and you have 20% salvage, and say together those 3 units were worth 100 million, you would then be entitled to 20 million, and then you could choose to buy the units from your employer. So one of the things I really like about it is it gets rid of that bad feels experience that you normally get when you are dealing with like the awkward percentiles. How do I want to handle it here? Because right now I just need it to work with I guess I could just add a very simple money object for now. No. I'll add instead a to-do. I need to have a way to deal with this right now. I can't just... I mean, it's only going into nightlies. I can absolutely leave it for now. And people will say, oh, well, I'm not getting salvage counted. And I'll be like, yeah, it's a work in progress. I think I might try and get that done this weekend, the new salvage system, if I can. No rest for the wicked. Here, 359 says, you get your salvage when I say you get your salvage. Yeah, I mean, if it's only going into nightlies, I can just tell people, hey, don't use cam-op salvage. Go back to the old way for now. Like, there are too many people who treat the nightlies like they're a way to just kind of get early access. And I guess, in a way, they kind of are, but that's not really their purpose. So, people will just have to deal. No, I think I do need to add some tracking. Yeah, I think I do need to add some tracking after all. So, this has become, how should we say, a moot question, a moot point? Even if this doesn't end up being a system that I keep, it's going to significantly smooth my passage through the processes. So I'm going to go with it. There we go. That'll do for now. I can always fix it later. Another one bites the dust. That's just an import. Oh lordy, campaign. We will save campaign for a rainy day. We will deal with that later. Trying to tackle the mission references in campaign. I suppose there's only 17, but then there's gonna be a whole bunch of other stuff that needs to be done. We'll leave that for a rainy day. Why? Who did this? So, those of you who are just waking back up because I've been silent for so long, we have the option to export contract offers. Why? I don't wanna. Alright, campaign export wizard, you can piddle off and I'll deal with you later. Seeking Advance says, who decided hamsters was something that needed to be in the name generator? In like the person name generator or the campaign name generator? Unit. Oh no, that'll be me then. My bad. Yeah, the unit name generator is what you get when I'm bored. What was the full name you got that had hamsters in it? Surplus hamsters, yeah. No, that would that was me. So, fun fact, I went to fill up my water and forgot to bring up my water and just brought my water back empty. Well, not entirely empty, just mostly empty. So, good job, me. I did, however, get cheese, so that's a small benefit. Oh god, I'm gonna have to go in and try and make story arcs work with this, aren't I? Oh, that's gonna be a pain in the ass. Give me 2 seconds, my wife just wants something. And I am back. Terribly sorry about that. My wife needed my attention. In fact, looking at the time and looking at where we are, maybe I'll do just one more. Just one more and then we'll be done. Because I, in my soul, am done. What the hell is this even for? Oh, this is a cam ops nonsense. We're keeping cam ops in the game, the rating system, but don't expect it to be around for much longer. Oh, at least not. That's not in the game. We're keeping it around, but don't expect it to be around. No, we're keeping it around, but don't expect to. Oh, I need to. Yeah, give me a second. Basically, it's just not going to be supported. So you'll be able to use it. You can do whatever you need to you know, it'll work with the current systems, but it's very much going to be considered a legacy option, just because the reputation system in hotspots is significantly, and I mean significantly, better suited for our needs as developers. Okay, that's contract. We ain't touching contract yet. That's the next problem. Customized mission dialogue. We're not touching that. Facility rentals. We can touch this. We can rub our fingers all over this. Yeah, looks like we're good there. Oh, don't do this to me, IntelliJ, you piece of shit. Well, it looks like we're about to lose a bunch of work because IntelliJ has crashed, which is a fantastic end to the today's episode. I don't know how much work we're going to lose, but whatever. We'll reboot it and just deal. I think even with IntelliJ clearly trying to undermine us, I feel like we've done a lot today. So we're just gonna take that as an indicator that we should bring the episode to a close. Just go in here and do the 5th migration pass of 500 million, I imagine. There we go. Okay, well, thank you everybody who joined me on this merry journey. Being frank, this is probably what we're going to be doing for all of next week, which will give me time to read through Destiny and plan a fun little dumb adventure. The current idea for Vacation Adventure is an Indiana Jones style campaign where the main character is like an Indiana Jones figure trying to find lost tech, and the enemies will be Clan Goliath, Scorpion, or whatever they're called, and they're both after the same lost tech artifacts. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So that won't be next week, because next week is going to be more of this by the most likelihood. But that'll give me time to read through Destiny, figure out what we can do, and then we'll go from there. So for anybody unaware, I am starting to burn out. So the intention is, as soon as this current project is done, I'm going to take a week off and we're going to do some fun little, maybe some MegaMek. We're definitely going to be doing some BattleTech MechWarrior Destiny solo campaign using the Mythic Game Master engine for the Oracles. That should be a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of community involvement in that, so that you guys will be able to help influence the direction of the story as we go. If you have enjoyed today's episode and would like more for some reason, then please consider hitting the follow button so you can be notified of when we go live. If you have particularly enjoyed yourself and you would like to support the channel directly, you can do so by subscribing to get access to a bunch of lovely emotes. You can also spend bits to get access to power-ups, including the ability to adopt one of the Scrotorius bastards. And if you would like to donate directly to me, you can do so through !tip. All proceeds are going directly towards getting me a new computer so that I have an easier time of developing for you all. And also so I can do cooler and better content, like actually play video games, instead of having to do solo RPGs. But regardless, I think we've done a lot, and I mean a lot today. If I go and do the show difference, we have touched 85 files, and we're going to touch 85 more. And so we've done really, really well today. I will continue this in my free time, and then hopefully we can get it done next week. But until I go, one last thing we'll do is we will quickly flip to the hookup. No, that's not going to work. I was going to show off the new contract market. So if you bear with me a second, I'll bring it up on Safari instead. So this is for anybody who didn't catch the demo earlier. These are going to be, now the demo did include some interactivity, but this is just going to be static images of what the new contract market looks like. The new contract market's UI is done. So this is finished. So what you're seeing now on screen is the current contract market in all its glory. We'll say glory. But very quickly, this is what the contract market is going to look like in 51.01, which I think you all agree is a bit of a glow up, shall we say? With the new contract market is bringing the ability to create hotspots Draconis Reach contracts, which means we need a new negotiations dialogue, which we have. Pachow, here's your new negotiations dialogue. But other than that, I think I've shown this off like 3 or 4 times this session now. So I think by this point y'all should have seen it. So we will head away for now. Thank you again for everybody who came along for today. Don't forget the Scrotorius Bastards are live next week as we try to figure out how to get our revenge on Clan Ghost Bear. So this is good night from me, and I hope you all have a great time, great rest of your evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Toodles!